A local fitness studio client came to me thinking Facebook ads is basically a scam designed to take their money away and wondered if I could help them turn around their ad account. Their leads cost a lot and they were basically reeling from the pandemic, so they needed a way to get people back in their studio in order to rebuild their business. So the first thing I did was audit their account to work out where the problems were, whether it was the offer, whether it was the technical setup or mechanism. There are about 7 things that I check, and I'll link to the full checklist below. So I saw they were doing okay with the lead forms, and they weren't really having a lead quality issue, so the problem seemed to be the high CPL, which would have been coming from either the creative copy or media buying setup. Given that, the first thing I wanted to fix then is the media buying setup itself. The previous setup was completely disorganized, so it's crazy hard to follow what's going on. So in order to rebuild their campaigns, I needed to bring everything into one campaign so it was easier to manage. In practice, I usually keep one campaign per offer or business line, and that way you can keep reusing the same campaign every time you want to promote the same thing, like the same service or the same promotion. For the campaign structure itself, it's usually then driven by how you want to set your bidding strategy. There are basically two approaches that I like to use. A consolidated ABO, which is ad set budget optimization setting, where you set the budget for the campaigns on each individual set of ads, the ad set, or CBO campaigns called campaign budget optimization, where you set the budget on the campaign level and you let Facebook decide which ad sets to give the most budget to based on which one they think is going to perform best. With ABO, you can get a little bit more certainty that Meta is testing your ads properly because you can force them to spend money on certain ad sets to really find out whether they work. But the con of that is you get a little bit more complexity. Whereas with CBO, it's much more simpler. In this particular case, I chose CBO for this client because they had a small budget, which didn't give me enough cash to invest in order to test new ideas without totally screwing up the amount that they were spending on existing ads. So usually, if you were to do ABO, you might segment off about 20% of the budget for testing. This is a commonly recommended amount, and that wasn't really practical with this client's budget without messing up the campaign. Now that I had the campaign and bidding set up, I could set the target. So for this, I always like to keep things simple, always broad, and basically put in geographic and age/gender parameters only when necessary. So here I put their catchment area, and I targeted females. Now I needed to refresh the ads themselves. They were using the same stock image that didn't really show the type of exercise being done. So I made a very simple, ugly ad using the client's photos of them working out happily with their clients. An ugly ad is basically an ad that's designed not to look like an ad and blend more in like organic content in the feed. A lot of folks think that you always need a super produced ad creative, but sometimes I find these simple natural ones can actually perform really well. For the ad copy, I kept their original ad copy, but I added an additional version as a B test. Now the process I use these days is a little bit more sophisticated, but this is always the first step you need to do when unlocking more performance with ad copy. Just B-test new copy versus the original in the same ad if you're making a new ad, or in a separate ad if you're trying to beat the existing copy within each ad set. For the copy format, I used a typical Hormozy style framework where you call out the target, offer, benefits without detractions, and add a CTA. With that done, the ads were ready to relaunch. To be honest, I was feeling pretty confident that I could bring down the cost here significantly, but I wasn't exactly sure how much. But after a few days, I was pretty surprised to see that the cost per lead came down from about £8 to £2. And here you can see the results on a longer time frame as well. And yeah, this client was pretty happy. So if you've got a struggling lead gen account, hopefully these steps give you an insight into the process of turning the ad account around. And if you'd like some extra help, just leave a comment below or check my video description for links if you'd like to get hands-on help from me.